All right. So hopefully this is recording. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mondays with Mike. This is going to be admittedly an abbreviated version of Mondays with Mike because, and you'll love this, anybody who deals with technology, and don't we all? I just had a nice presentation that I put together on the wind chill. It was like 20 minutes and I was very happy with it. And then it didn't save. I don't know what happened. I don't know where it went. I've searched all over the computer. I looked in every file. It didn't save. So yeah, wah wah. So what I want to talk about today here on Mondays with Mike is the wind chill, and is sort of in the style of Jerry Seinfeld or many other comedians. What's the deal with the wind chill? I mean, hey, why don't we just have wind? Why does it have to be a chill? All of that stuff, right? What is the deal with wind chill? And why do we call it the feels like temperature? And then why do people tell me, Mike, don't tell me how to feel. I'm a grown up. I'll feel the way I want to feel. Well, here's the deal. So back in the days when explorers were discovering Antarctica, and when they were exploring the poles, they ran into some big problems. And one of them was frostbite, very, very serious frostbite. And so there were two gentlemen in particular. One guy was named Sipple or Seipel, Paul Seipel, and the other one was Charles Passel. And in fact, they issued or they decided to start calculating, trying to quantify, put into numbers what effect the wind has on the body's reaction to cold weather, especially developing frostbite and hypothermia. Because, people went on these missions to like explore the Antarctic, and you'd have a bunch of people die, or you'd have a bunch of people come home with, ruined limbs and noses, right? Because of the frostbite. And that's something that we don't have to worry about in Texas very much, but up north, obviously they do. And if you go far enough south, obviously they do as well. So what I want to try and do is convince you that yes, it's real and it exists, and that it actually does serve an important purpose. And I'm going to use coffee to explain the wind chill. Okay, so Mike, if I drink a lot of hot coffee, it's going to keep me warmer? Well, maybe, but think about this. So I want you to think about if you have a hot cup of coffee in front of you. And what do you do? What do you see everybody do? And it's an instinct. Nobody ever taught you to do this. Instinctually, if you have very hot coffee and you have to take a sip of it, what do? You blow on the top of it, right? Don't you? I mean, you've probably seen people do this 1,000 times. You blow on the top of the coffee. Why do you do that? Because you're creating a wind chill. Yeah. What you're doing is you're taking the heat. There's a layer of heat that's on top of the coffee. Now, granted, yes, the coffee is radiating heat too, for anybody who wants to be a stickler. Everything's radiating heat. But I'm talking about the heat that's right there by the surface. You're making wind, okay, by blowing, and you're taking this layer of hot air that's on top, and you are blowing it off. So this heat that's gathered here, that's right on top of the coffee, like the surface of the coffee, that heat is getting blown off. And so it is creating a cooling effect there on the top of the coffee. And scientifically, like, you could also make an argument that it's evaporating a little bit at the top of the coffee too, which also cools it. But in this case, we're just going to talk about the wind. You naturally do that. If you have a bowl of soup and you're going to take a spoonful, bite out of or sip out of the soup, you do the same thing, right? You take the hot soup out, you blow on it. And what are you doing? You're actually blowing the heat off of it. And that's exactly what happens if you are outside in cold weather when it's windy, is that, here's you, and here's, you're obviously very thin. And, you're a little bit not so happy because it's windy out. So the heat that's on your skin, okay, so this little layer of warm air forms on the outside of your body. And sometimes it may be that you even have gloves on, or even you have a shirt or a sweater or something like that. And I'm kind of hot right now here in the studio, but there's air here that's in between my skin and the shirt. that's warmer than the air here in the studio where I'm recording. So, but if it were very, very windy in here, or if I were outside in the high wind, then what happens? Well, the wind comes along and it's going to take this heat and blow it away. It's going to just take that heat away. So now all of a sudden, your skin feels very cold. And so what happens? Well, in order to warm the skin back up, warmer blood comes in to replace it. And then if the heat gets blown off of that, you'll see the cycle. So that does two things. It can, if temperatures are below freezing, and there is not wind, then most of the time, even if the temperature is 20 degrees or something like that, your body can produce enough heat to prevent you from getting frostbite. If you had now a 30-mile-per-hour wind or a 40-mile-per-hour wind on top of that, now you're taking away this heat so quickly that it can't be replaced. And your outer layer of skin will get frostbite, which is similar to a burn. The skin freezes and the cells burst open, and it damages your skin. And so a lot of times there's like, people will lose the ends of their fingers and things like that. I mean, it really gets pretty nasty. So folks need to know to be prepared for that. And so because of that, if it's let's say it's 20 degrees Fahrenheit with no wind, then it might be cold, but you can live with it. You can maybe we're going to watch a Packers game or something. You can kind of live with it, okay? But now all of a sudden, if you have this wind, that's like 30 miles per hour, not 30 miles per hour, then you're not happy because all this heat is being blown off. Now you're in danger. So the wind can turn a situation that's survivable into a situation that is very dangerous. Now, keep in mind, who's this important for? The military. Let's say that you're a general and you are commanding an army. Let's just say it's the good old US of A, and you've got soldiers that are going into an area where it's wintertime. I mean, look, this has happened. Think about like fighting in World War I and World War II. And we fought in some really cold places. Korea, we have fought in some really cold places. If you're preparing your soldiers for battle, and you're out there and there's no wind and the temperature is 15 or 20 degrees, well, then that your soldiers are going to be more resilient to getting hypothermia versus if the temperature might even be a little bit warmer, but they're contending with very, very high winds, then that, not only you're battling the enemy, but you're battling the elements. And that actually does play a big role in safety. So it can, this is used in the military. This is also used, obviously, for people who are, let's say, climbing Mount Everest. Okay. If you can get to Mount Everest during a time of the year when the winds are at their minimum, which is when most people try to climb, you will have a higher probability of being able to make it to the top, versus hitting it when the wind is howling along and you're not going to have any chance at all. So the wind chill around here is not usually a big problem as far as frostbite. Now, we do have those days, every once in a while when it is more of a concern. But I point out the wind chill because I think, like, as a dad, as a parent, I would like to know how nasty is that wind chill so I know how much to nag the children to wear their jacket, if they're going out to the bus stop. So that's why we do it. So it's not telling you how to feel. It's just trying to put into numbers what effect the cold weather is going to have on you if you're standing outside. So wind chill, what is the deal? So now maybe you know the deal. Thanks for joining me for Mondays with Mike. And this one better record. Otherwise, I'm going to be really mad. Shout out to my mom and Neil, who we had a great visit out here in Houston. And